8 brutal Stoic laws that'll rewire your mind. Most people do not lack intelligence. They lack mental endurance. They break under pressure, criticism, uncertainty, and discomfort. The modern world rewards comfort, distraction, and emotional reaction. Stoicism trains the opposite. It trains stability, discipline, and psychological toughness. Ancient Stoics like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius developed mental frameworks designed for chaos, loss, betrayal, and uncertainty. Their ideas were not motivational slogans. They were survival systems. Roman leaders used these principles to endure war, political hostility, and personal tragedy. Modern neuroscience now supports many of these principles. Research on cognitive reframing, stress adaptation, and emotional regulation confirms what Stoics practiced centuries ago. Exposure to controlled stress strengthens resilience. Acceptance reduces anxiety. Discipline builds confidence. This video breaks down 8 brutal Stoic laws that will rewire your thinking. These are not soft self-help ideas. These laws demand responsibility, restraint, and emotional control. If you apply them daily, you become mentally unbreakable. Stay until the end because the final law separates emotionally reactive people from calm decision makers. If you value practical stoicism, mental toughness training, and disciplined thinking, subscribe to this channel now. Every video here strengthens your mind and sharpens your presence. Law 1. No one is coming to save you. This is the first brutal truth. No mentor, partner, government, or friend will carry your life for you. Support may exist, but responsibility remains yours. The moment you accept this fully, you stop waiting. You stop hoping someone will fix your discipline, your finances, your health, or your mindset. You move from passive expectation to active ownership. Psychological research on internal locus of control shows that individuals who believe they are responsible for outcomes perform better, handle stress more effectively, and recover faster from setbacks. When you blame circumstances, you weaken yourself. When you accept responsibility, you increase power. Ownership shifts your focus toward solutions instead of excuses. It forces action. Epictetus taught that you are responsible for your judgments and actions. Not your parents, not society, not luck. He himself was born a slave, yet he built influence through disciplined thinking. His life demonstrates that circumstances may limit options, but they do not control character or effort. Waiting to be rescued creates dependency. Dependency creates hesitation. Hesitation delays growth. When you internalize that no one is coming, urgency replaces procrastination. You prepare harder. You plan better. You execute faster. Responsibility becomes fuel instead of pressure. Daily practice. When something goes wrong, ask, what part of this is within my control? Act there. Even if the answer is small, start. Adjust your behavior. Improve your skill. Change your strategy. Small acts of ownership compound into self-trust. Over time, this mindset rewires how you see adversity. Problems stop feeling unfair and start feeling instructive. You become solution-oriented. You build resilience because you no longer wait for external rescue. You become the one who saves yourself through discipline, clarity, and action. Law 2. Comfort weakens you. The human nervous system adapts to repeated conditions. If you constantly seek ease, you lower your tolerance for stress. Studies in stress adaptation show that controlled discomfort strengthens resilience, improves emotional regulation, and increases cognitive flexibility. When you avoid difficulty, your threshold for pressure shrinks. Small problems start to feel overwhelming. Cold exposure, disciplined routines, hard conversations, difficult workouts. These are not punishment. They are training. Stress, when applied intentionally and in manageable doses, conditions your mind and body to handle uncertainty. Athletes use progressive overload to grow stronger. The same principle applies to your character. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to rise from bed despite comfort. He wrote about resisting the temptation of warmth and ease because he believed he was made for action, not indulgence. Discipline begins where comfort ends. Each time you choose effort over ease, you reinforce strength. Comfort also weakens decision-making. When you prioritize convenience, you start avoiding necessary confrontation, responsibility, and growth. Over time, avoidance becomes habit. By choosing discomfort deliberately, you train yourself to act despite resistance. This builds self-trust and psychological endurance. Daily practice. Do one difficult thing before noon. It could be a hard workout, a demanding task, or a conversation you have been postponing. Completing it early builds momentum and conditions your mind to face pressure directly. Over weeks and months, these small exposures to discomfort compound. Stress feels manageable. Challenges feel expected. You stop fearing pressure because you train under it regularly. Comfort no longer controls you. You use discomfort as a tool to become mentally stronger and more disciplined. Law 3. Your emotions are data, not commands. Modern neuroscience shows that emotional responses originate in subcortical brain regions before rational processing occurs. This means feelings arrive automatically. Reaction does not have to. The brain's threat detection system activates in milliseconds, but your conscious reasoning can still intervene. The gap between feeling and action is where strength is built. Stoicism teaches emotional regulation through examination of judgment. Epictetus argued that events do not disturb you. Your interpretation of them does. When you label an event as offensive, unfair, or threatening, emotion intensifies. When you question that label, intensity decreases. You cannot prevent emotion from appearing, but you can analyze it before acting on it. Seneca wrote that anger is temporary madness. The solution is delay. Delay weakens impulse. Even a brief pause allows rational thought to regain influence. Most regret follows instant reaction. Very little regret follows thoughtful response. Daily practice. When triggered, pause for 5 breaths before speaking. Feel the emotion without suppressing it. Name it clearly. Ask what judgment created it. Then choose your response deliberately. Over time, this simple discipline trains emotional stability and strengthens self-control under pressure. Law 4. You will be misunderstood. If you live by principle, some people will reject you. Research on social conformity shows that individuals who deviate from group norms often face resistance, even when they are correct. Humans prefer agreement because it feels safe. When you stand firm in your values, you disrupt comfort. That disruption invites criticism. The Stoics accepted this reality. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that people act from their own perceptions, not objective truth. Epictetus taught that your duty is to act with virtue, not to manage others' opinions. They understood that popularity is unstable, while integrity is durable. Brutal truth. If everyone approves of you, you likely compromise too often. Constant agreement usually signals avoidance of conflict rather than strength of character. When you soften your standards to maintain approval, you weaken self-respect. Over time, that erosion damages confidence more than criticism ever could. Being misunderstood tests emotional stability. You may feel the urge to over-explain or defend your choices. Resist it. Calm consistency communicates more powerfully than argument. When your actions remain aligned with your principles over time, misunderstandings lose force. Results clarify what words cannot. Daily practice. Speak truth calmly even when unpopular. Do not raise your voice. Do not seek validation. State your position clearly and move forward. With repetition, you build resilience against rejection and develop a reputation for steadiness. Mental strength grows when approval is no longer your goal, and integrity becomes your standard. Law 5. Loss is inevitable. Everything you value is temporary. Health declines. Status changes. Relationships evolve or end. This is not pessimism. It is reality. Resisting this truth creates attachment and fear. Accepting it creates strength and clarity. When you understand that loss is part of life, you stop acting surprised when change happens. Research on mortality awareness shows that reflecting on impermanence increases gratitude and sharper prioritization. People who consciously acknowledge limited time focus more on meaningful goals and less on trivial distractions. Awareness of loss does not weaken you. It forces you to value what truly matters. The Stoics practiced negative visualization to prepare the mind. Seneca advised rehearsing potential loss mentally so that when change occurred, the shock would not destroy emotional stability. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself regularly that everything is borrowed from time. This practice strengthened resilience. When you accept impermanence, fear decreases. You stop clinging to outcomes or people as if they are guaranteed. Instead, you act with appreciation and presence. You treat conversations, health, and opportunities with seriousness because you recognize their fragility. Daily practice. Appreciate what you have as if it could disappear. Express gratitude directly. Invest time intentionally. Take care of your body. Strengthen important relationships. When loss eventually comes, you will grieve with dignity, not regret, because you acted fully while you had the chance. Law 6. Discipline equals freedom. Motivation fluctuates. It rises with excitement and disappears with discomfort. Discipline remains steady. Behavioral psychology shows that structured routines reduce decision fatigue and increase consistency. When habits are automatic, you conserve mental energy for complex problems instead of wasting it on basic choices. When you rely on emotion, performance becomes unstable. Some days you feel driven, other days you hesitate. Systems remove that instability. Clear schedules, defined standards, and repeated routines create reliability. Reliability builds confidence because you trust yourself to act regardless of mood. Epictetus emphasized daily training of the mind. He compared philosophy to physical exercise. You do not build strength by training once. You build it through repetition. The same applies to discipline. Occasional effort produces occasional results. Daily structure produces durable growth. Discipline also increases freedom by narrowing distractions. When you commit to fixed habits such as consistent waking times, focused work blocks, and regular training, you eliminate internal debate. Less debate means less stress. You spend more time executing and less time negotiating with yourself. Daily practice. Keep promises to yourself, especially small ones. Wake up when planned. Complete the task you scheduled. Finish what you started. Each fulfilled promise reinforces self-respect. Over time, discipline stops feeling restrictive and starts feeling empowering because you control your behavior instead of being controlled by impulse. Law 7. External validation is a trap. The brain releases dopamine when you receive social approval. This reward signal reinforces the behavior that earned the praise. Over time, you can become conditioned to seek recognition before acting. That dependency weakens autonomy. Your choices start to revolve around applause rather than principle. Stoicism rejects dependency on reputation. Marcus Aurelius wrote that fame after death is empty because those who praise you will also disappear. He reminded himself that public opinion shifts quickly and rarely reflects truth. When you anchor your worth to reputation, you build on unstable ground. Brutal truth. If praise controls you, criticism will destroy you. The same system that lifts your mood when admired will drop it when judged. This creates emotional volatility. You become reactive to comments, metrics, and opinions. Mental strength requires independence from both praise and blame. Validation seeking also distorts decision making. You may avoid necessary risks to protect image. You may soften your standards to maintain approval. This weakens long-term growth. When you detach from applause, you gain clarity. You focus on mastery, discipline, and integrity instead of popularity. Daily practice. Measure success by effort, not applause. Track whether you executed your standards. Evaluate consistency, not compliments. Over time, this internal metric builds stable confidence. You stop chasing recognition because your self-respect comes from disciplined action, not external reaction. Law 8. Death clarifies everything. Memento mori. Remember you will die. This is the cornerstone of Stoic practice. Awareness of mortality sharpens judgment, prioritizes action, and eliminates trivial distractions. Life's brevity makes excuses and procrastination irrelevant. Every day becomes an opportunity to live intentionally. Mortality awareness studies confirm that reflecting on limited time increases focus on meaningful goals. People who practice brief reminders of impermanence report higher motivation, reduced anxiety about minor setbacks, and more deliberate allocation of effort. Death is not a threat. It is a lens that clarifies what truly matters. This is not pessimism. It is clarity. When you internalize that time is finite, you act with purpose rather than hesitation. Decisions become simpler. Priorities become obvious. Emotional reactions to trivial slights weaken because the stakes are small relative to life itself. Ask yourself daily, if today were limited, would this action matter? Would this conflict, worry, or distraction be worth my attention? This question filters out unimportant concerns and highlights meaningful work, relationships, and personal growth. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius used this reflection each morning to center themselves. Daily practice. Act as if time is valuable because it is. Approach work, conversation, and personal goals with urgency and focus. Treat each interaction as meaningful. Over time, this mental habit rewires your priorities, strengthens discipline, and creates a life aligned with purpose rather than triviality. These 8 brutal Stoic laws are not comfortable. They require ownership, restraint, courage, and discipline. Each law challenges instinctive reactions and forces you to confront truths most people avoid. No one else will enforce them for you. No external reward motivates them. You must internalize them, day after day, to see real change. By following these laws, you stop blaming others for your failures. You stop reacting impulsively to events outside your control. You stop chasing approval or praise. You stop fearing discomfort and uncertainty. Each law builds mental resilience, self-reliance, and clarity of purpose. Over time, your mind becomes harder to disturb, and your focus and discipline strengthen naturally. Mental strength is built daily. Apply one law at a time. Practice consistently. Observe change over months, not days. Journaling, reflection, and deliberate morning affirmations reinforce these habits. Small daily acts compound into permanent character growth. If this video strengthened your mindset, subscribe now. This channel delivers applied stoicism, mental discipline frameworks, and psychological tools you can use immediately. Subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss the next lesson. Your path to calm, focus, and mental unbreakability starts here.